We are on.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Brian Tarian and Jam. How are
Hi,
you, Jam?
guys.
Awesome. Welcome to the YouTube Live on Wednesday. Today's event, we're going to answer some questions that have been asked this week, common questions. And then we're going to talk about housing. I have some housing information for you. Maybe you don't need it now, but good to know, or maybe you don't think you need it, but there's something that you could learn that could help you out with either your existing housing situation or potential housing. And then Jam at the end will take some questions, right, from the audience that's out there. So if you're new here, welcome, welcome. These are general interest events that we do here at the Disability Digest. Our focus is to help you get the benefits you deserve, and that includes helping you get them fast, approved fast, helping you keep them, helping you maximize them. So if you enjoy the work that Jam does, and we encourage you to give us a subscribe, ring the bell, share it with somebody. Maybe you know somebody that could benefit from this info that we're going to share with you today. All right, are we ready to get started?
Yes.
Okay, I know this question was brought up this week, Jam, by you from another member, and I also received a contact about it. And the question is, does marriage have an impact on your Social Security disability benefits? Maybe it was because it's February, Valentine's, love is in the air, all that stuff. Who knows why we're asked that. But here is the answer that I provide. Your Social Security disability income, if you get married, it will not have an impact on your check amount. If you're receiving $1,500 a month, you will continue to, right? So that's one. There is a consideration though, and this was a real life situation from this morning, is the individual was eligible for Social Security disability, but also eligible for Medicaid. And if the individual gets married, then the Medicaid could be jeopardized. It could be reduced or it could be eliminated. And the reason for that is they look at the assets for Medicaid. I mean, did I say Medicare? The Medicaid would be jeopardized. Yeah, Medicaid would be jeopardized because it's asset and resource space. So if somebody's receiving—
Brian, can I pause you?
Yeah.
Viewers can't hear any sound.
Oh, really? Wonder why.
Yeah.
But you can hear it, right? All right, if is there anybody out there that can hear the presentation today? If you just give me a shout, that'd be great. Or reply to Jam.
Okay, some has, some don't.
All right.
Okay, most of them can hear us.
Okay, so I think it's individual settings. If some can, then I'm going to go with it is your individual settings. Check your volume. The replay will be available for this. So if your audio is not working now, right? So where was I? Oh, on getting married. So long story short, if you're going to get married and you are a Medicare, Medicaid eligible, it is possible that your Medicaid will be reduced or eliminated because of your new partner's assets. So for example, if they're working, that would do it. If they have any cash or resources or assets, that could push you over the limit. All right, so that was one question from this week. Any other feedback on sound? No?
They can hear you fine now.
Okay. This one is from Miss Vaughn, Member Vaughn. A common question. My disability onset date is incorrect by over 1 year. I was given a disability onset of my 50th birthday and so on and so forth, and it should have been 12 months before. This is a common question that we have seen. I don't know about you, Jam, people asking about their back benefits. So
Yeah, that's a common question.
my point on this, if you dispute your award letter, so if you're awarded your disability benefits and you say, hey, you know what? You missed like 12 months, which could be, if your check is, you know, $1,500, it could be what, $18,000. It's a lot of money. If you dispute it in the circles that I travel in with other disability representatives, and from my own experience, you stand a pretty high probability of having your benefits totally turned off. And of course, you can go to court, which we have with people, and end up getting them, you know, awarded again. But the challenge is that risk reward going to be worth it for you for the $18,000? That's what you have to keep in mind. There is one individual that we know that has successfully did this, and he actually did it on his own. He had some guidance from us, and his story is on our YouTube channel. I forget his name, otherwise I'd bring it up. So here's the thing that I want to give a shout out to everybody. If you're working on your disability case, and your onset date, and you're going and you're applying, and many of you apply on your own, which you don't have to, but you choose to, and you don't get this right, like you don't understand how to prove that your condition started when it actually did, you don't get the doctor's support to lock in on that, you don't have a communication written to Social Security telling your story that pinpoints that, then it's going to be difficult. It leaves it to the judgment of Social Security really rifling through your medical records and trying to figure out when this started and if the date you provided is correct. So if you're using a representative, I would make sure that you clearly communicate your understanding of when you believe your onset date was, when you were disabled, and to ask them how they're going to prove it, how they're going to lock it in. I would do that. Other than that, you can definitely use our disability approval course. You can do a lot of this work on your own, but when it gets to some of those individual nuances, you know, you have to understand the legalese, and it's difficult to learn that in one application process to get it right. So that's my take. Okay, let's talk about housing. Jen has put some questions up in the chat, if you would take some time to answer those. You know what's interesting is once you start it, once you start the chat, I don't see the questions flow in anymore, which I'm not concerned about because you read them to me. But if I was doing this on my own, I'd be in a tough spot. So thank you for coming.
Sure.
Okay, affordable housing, safe neighborhoods on a disability budget with bad credit. You know, it's one of the questions we've been asked. Like, how do I solve that problem? What do I do? I'm not saying that's you. Maybe you need to move, or maybe your condition has forced you into a different housing situation. So I'm going to go through with you information that I have collected, condense it down into a few minutes with the traditional options that are out there that you can approach, the non-traditional ones. Maybe you already have a house, you don't need housing, but you could use some extra money. We're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to share with you a plan of action for those of you that are in need of housing. Okay. So first of all, there are some traditional housing options for people that are in need of disabilities. I would say their condition is relatively severe. Maybe they've had a stroke, or they've been rendered with limited mobility options. And those options are group homes, assisted living facilities. We see a little bit of that, especially because we are helping members after they've been awarded with their health insurance. And in addition to that, there's in-home care options that people can get through their existing insurance or maybe a private long-term care policy. So with those types of options, if you feel that you are in need of one or maybe or are concerned about it, I suggest that you pay very close attention to your insurance, because most of you are on a Medicare Advantage plan, and Medicare Advantage plans have different coverage options for those traditional options that I just mentioned. There's one more called transitional housing. It's kind of like rehab. And that's a good example. We just went through a situation where somebody needed to be in a rehab facility for 30 days, but their Medicare Advantage plan only covered them for 20. But there are other plans out there that cover for 30. But she wasn't in a situation where she could change. So just be aware, those are some of the options that you have and that you are insured with your needs.
Okay. Somebody made a comment here. Group homes suck. I mean, group homes and shelters suck.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying, that's a really good point. I thank you for bringing it up. This is a very difficult topic. I don't want to say there isn't any good options, but it's not like it's hard, man. It's very low inventory of options that are available, and commonly people have fixed incomes. So a shout out to you for stepping forward and saying that. Yeah. And on that note, something that falls directly into that category is Section 8 housing. Section 8 housing is a federal program, provides rental assistance for low-income individuals. I know it works because we have members that are in them, but the waiting line, the wait list, I should say, is long. So I'm going to say this at another time in this presentation, but it requires you to be very polite and very persistent in seeking that, right? So those are the traditional options that are out there. I'm going to share my screen now, and these websites that I'm going to go through are one from members that have used them. And the links will be associated with the show notes in this video. I'm pointing down because if you're watching the video, they'll be below. So I'd wait until after the show. You can go in and grab the links. But the first one I want to share with you is people have used Habitat for Humanity. It's a common situation where they've sold their home and they've moved and they're going to move into another option. That's where I've seen this. And they build affordable housing that's energy efficient. We have a Habitat development in a town that I live in here in Vermont, and some nice homes, nice, small, affordable, efficient homes. So if you're looking for a new home, this could be an option for you to check it out. The next and the best resource that we've had success with is Centers for Independent Living. And these are organizations that don't build housing or provide housing, but they know where the housing is in certain areas. And they're government funded agencies. They exist everywhere throughout the United States. This link again is below the video. And for example, if you're in Florida, which many of our members are, you click on the map, you look at, the one that is closest to you. Let's say you're in the Port Lucie area, then you would look at this Center for Independent Living. And we've done an interview with Jim Troxel, who's a member here. And he works at a Centers for Independent Living. It's his part-time job. He's a disability recipient, and he's a housing counselor. So he talks to people about their housing, what their needs are, and works on placing them in housing. So the process here with Centers for Independent Living is you contact them, and I'm going to go through a plan and a strategy at the end of this presentation. And you would work with a counselor like a real estate agent to find what might be available to you. Now, quick side note on Centers for Independent Living, they provide other services as well that are listed over here. Treatment options, legal aid, transportation, advocacy, support groups, etc. So if you haven't been in touch with yours, I'd reach out. Even if you're going through the approval process, maybe they can help you with treatment options, right? Jam, how are we doing with the group out there? They have any other audio questions or questions regarding what we've covered yet?
Well, you've covered, they mostly have questions about housing, difficulties acquiring housing.
Okay. All right. So we'll hold those till the end. I'll keep rolling through my resources here. All right, so we've talked about what I consider the traditional housing. Non-traditional housing resources that have worked is this one that's up on the screen right now is home share. Home sharing works two ways. Home sharing is if you're a disability recipient and you're looking for affordable housing, you can contact your local agency and fill out a profile. They do a background check, and they would provide you with options for who has a housing option available for you in an existing house. So common situation is somebody's living in their home, they have an extra room, maybe they need some light work done or some financial assistance. So people have been able to live in a great home in a super neighborhood in their own room in a house sharing environment in exchange for like doing some light work, bringing out the trash. We had one member that they had a responsibility for playing bridge. It was once or twice a week, I don't remember, but playing bridge weekly, that was part of their
Playing?
yeah, playing bridge cards in exchange for accommodations, rent or reduced rent. So it's a great resource. Home Share Vermont, and not to super promote my Vermont state here, but they do a really good job. Now, here's the other way to look at this. Let's say you're in your home, and many people that are on a fixed income with their disability are getting pinched. You can submit an application as a provider to your local home share. And they'll go through and they'll screen applicants, and you can pick and decide, of course, but you can find somebody that could be a fit for you. And most, like this agency here, if you don't like him, not a match, then they'll switch them out and bring somebody in that's new. So that could provide you with extra resources, some assistance around the house, some companionship, if that's for you. So home share has two different options. I would be curious if there's anybody out there that has pursued home share in your area. If you have any feedback on it, send us a comment and let us know what your experience has been. Okay. The other thing that people have done is they've Airbnb'd a room in their house, similar concept to home share, but they do it on a, maybe they do it 5 days a month. So it's fixed, and the rest of the month they've got time. So that is another way that you can use an existing home and provide it and make it available to people. People have done that. And this is all perfectly fine to do. You can do this and keep your benefits and that income. You have to stay below the allowed amount, but that income is fine. It's rental income, so that's all good. Okay, this is the next one, and I don't know if this is available in your area, but it's called an accessory dwelling units, and this is in Vermont, where it's a state regulation where you can add on to an existing home a small dwelling. Like in the town that I live in, you can add up to 25% of your livable square footage, a maximum of 1,500 square feet. So you can add on a 2-bedroom-ish type place onto your house. So let's say the cost to do that is 150,000, but you can get, like here in our area, we could get $1,600 to $1,800 in rent for that. Do those numbers make sense? Do you have the ability to get the loan? Is this available in your area? I don't know, but this is available in every area in Vermont because it's a regulation. So it's a way for people to have in-law apartments, earn extra income, things like that. Accessory dwelling. Check it out. Link's also below. Okay. Let's talk about a plan. The plan is mostly applicable that we have coached and used it for is for those that are in need of housing. We direct them first place is to Centers for Independent Living. Now, if you were to just call them and say, I'm looking for housing, you're going to have a difficult time. What we have seen that has worked is if you have a plan and a written plan in writing that you can send to them, fax to them, send it in advance. And the plan would have some of these ingredients. If you're looking at a geographical area, like I pulled up Florida here, and you're talking to this organization, say, listen, I want to live in this part of Port St. Lucie, over in this area, these zip codes, but I don't want to live over here. I know that's not a good area. Maybe the transportation isn't good. I'm too far from I don't want to live there. So I want to live here, but I don't want to live there. That's number one. You need to have a budget. What can you afford? Probably the budget should be first, actually. How much can you afford? You have to be realistic. You've got to factor all of that in. Are you going in with a roommate? Are you going in on your own? What's your combined resources? What does that look like? So you can solidify some housing. And then next is there's some terms in the housing industry that I suggest that you understand and use. One is universal design. Like I can live in a place that has a universal design. Universal means the living spaces, they don't require any modification, right? Or the alternative to that is you require accessible housing, which would mean that maybe you have mobility issues and you need wider doorways, grab bars in the bathroom, accessible kitchen, bathroom fixtures, that type of stuff. This is really important to have in your plan, right? You don't want to send the housing counselor or coach looking for a property and they find one and you have accessible needs and they found a universal solution. That's not going to help you. Some other things to put in your plan is if you're looking at living in a building, like a multi-unit, like what floor could you live on? Can you climb stairs if there's no elevator, or are you all right with an elevator if there is one? Or do you need to be on the first floor? Okay, what floor is it that you need to live on? And then what's the format of the layout? Can you work with a studio? Does it need to be a certain square footage? 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom? What's that look like? And then the external parts about it, like, do you need parking for your car? Are you using public transportation? Do you want to be close to like other amenities where you can walk and do your grocery shopping, or if you're doing your part-time side hustle, like we've taught people to do, you want to go to the coffee shop and do some creative thinking. So your plan is going to have a budget, where you want to live, where you don't want to live, universal or accessible housing, floor, the studio, 1, 2, 3 bedroom, and then the external. Those are the key pieces. Write it all down, simple 1 page, with your contact information. Get it into your Center for Independent Living. When you look at these centers for independent living in this list right here, you will see that they all have fax numbers. And they all provide their mailing address. So send it in, and then you call and you follow up, and you're going to be polite and you're going to be persistent. Say, hey, Mr. Housing Counselor, I've sent in my housing plan. I look forward to discussing it with you. And then, do you have it? If you don't, I can send it again. And then you just follow up. And listen, there's no charge to use these centers. They're government funded, but they're busy. But the value of you using the plan is it's going to give them the impression that you're organized and going to be easy to work with. And it will separate you from others that are out there that are not organized. Okay. This will be a website that will be below the in the resources as well. There may be additional housing options available to your county social assistance, which is number 2 on here. Department of Health and Human Services sometimes has connection with housing in your area. And then this Find Help could be another option. So I definitely start with the Centers for Independent Living, work through the other resources. We'd love to hear your feedback, success story, hopefully challenges. Maybe there's something that we missed. So, all right, Jam, let's take some questions, see what people are thinking out there.
Yeah, okay. Here's one. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My parents are on Social Security and I'm on SSCI. We didn't qualify for income restriction properties. Down payment is out of our reach. How can we get in trying to buy a new home?
Yeah, I don't know the financial, as from a loaning perspective, I don't know. I would follow the directions with a housing plan. If you can put your combined resources together and start with a housing counselor at Center for Independent Living, definitely be the first step.
All right. Right. I came out of a coma in Chicago and can't acquire any help anywhere. From James Robinson.
Well, I don't know what you have tried, and it may be that the options that I provided, if you've been through all of those, that they just are not a match for you. As I mentioned, this is really difficult, but if you haven't tried these, I would encourage you to treat this like a job if housing is important to you, and go through the steps.
All right, this is from Teresa. What do you do if you're at 70% but you're at a standstill because you have no income and you have to move from Florida to Tennessee, and without money, you can't find a doctor?
So 70% sounds like going through the approval process, Jam?
Right.
All right. Without any treatment? Well, you do need to be treated unless you have some very unique condition to get approved for disability. When I was showing you earlier the Centers for Independent Living, the centers are in tune with low cost, no cost treatment options in areas. It may be a clinic that you need to use. So my directions would be to contact your local Center for Independent Living, explain that you're going through the disability approval process and you've run out of funds, you're not alone, and ask them what they have for low cost, no cost treatment options. There's also other options that we have provided, like on the page that had county social assistance, there's the 211 option. I would check that out and see if they have any suggestions for low cost, no cost treatment options. So that's this right here, 211.
All right. Okay. 6 surgeries in the past year, number 7 tomorrow, and 8 on the 13th of March. Last month got denied at reconsideration. Now waiting on administrative law judge date. Question is, do I need to change attorneys?
I don't know. If they did something wrong, then that's my position. If they missed a deadline or in my opinion and experience in getting people approved for disability benefits, there's 7 key things that need to be done. And if you speak with somebody like Jam or Danielle here, they'll walk you through what the 7 things are that we do and what the results are. My encouragement is to, like, recently I put out a video that basically just told you what those are. If they have done those and they're doing their job, it doesn't mean that I don't see any reason why you should fire them. But if they're just, taking your information and putting it in the system and they're not doing any custom work, then there's an argument to be said that, you're going to, if your case gets approved, you're going to pay, $7,200 probably. There's an argument there. If they're not doing their work, that you should take into consideration releasing them. So I don't know the answer. Those are some thoughts for you. For those of you that don't and haven't hired anybody, it's like marriage. You want to make sure you marry right. Make sure you know what you're looking for.
All right. I've been homeless for 1 year. It's been difficult to come up with first and last rent plus deposit. Any suggestions?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Sorry. I wonder
Yeah.
what state you're in for being homeless. I hope it's a warm one, like San Diego, California or something. I would look for county social assistance, the page that I put up, Centers for Independent Living. Like here in Vermont, they have Catholic Charities has a program for people that have had situations like yours, or women that have experienced domestic abuse and they must get out of their house. They provide a short-term rental type, not rental, but a short-term place to live with transitional assistance steps. Like they'll help these individuals, sometimes they're, they have addictions, so help them get through it and help them get back to work. So check out the resources, dial 211 and Centers for Independent Living. Those would be the 2 steps that I'd do. Be persistent. Find you a home, hopefully soon.
All right. Hello, I have my house, but need to make some updates to help with my disability. I only get my SSDI benefits. What are the best options?
Sometimes there's funding locally for situations like that through county social assistance. It might be energy. I don't know exactly what you need, and I'm certainly not a contractor construction guy, but let's say you need windows and it's an energy efficient situation. I would scour through the local resources to see what might be available for you. Yeah.
Okay, nobody's seemingly putting forth any effort toward doing anything, and I've been consistently running around and begging people for help. What would you do?
Do you have any idea what type of help you're looking for?
He was the one who was in coma in Chicago, moved to Tennessee.
Okay. So has been asking for help and not getting any answers. The best advice I have is I'm going to go back to the plan. If you put a plan in place for whatever it is that you need, maybe it's not housing, it's something else, and you submit that plan and you be polite, persistent, patient, that's the very best you can do. If your version of I've asked everybody is I've made like 5 phone calls 3 weeks ago and nobody called me back, I just, unfortunately, that's just not going to work for getting assistance in this area.
Right. Should I file reconsideration in a favorable decision, but the wrong onset day that they gave me at Social Security Administration?
Right. If you're just joining us, I addressed that at the beginning of this presentation. You can listen to the replay.
Mhm. Right. I've been forced to continuously come up with funding for hotels, or I'm trapped outside ever since walking from a coma.
Is there a
This
question there?
coming from James Robinson, or like a statement.
Hotels sound expensive. Yeah, I would check out check out the home share option in your area. Something where there's, forget the exact number. I want to say it was 275 or $325 a month is what the last person that went into. I mean, living in a nice place, great neighborhood. So
All right. This one's from Kim. I just have to say this. This is an awesome site. I'm a disabled veteran. I'm currently going through the approval process with Social Security. My saving grace is I work for Social Security. I help vet. Can I get a job?
great. So you help vets, you're going through the disability approval process
Yes.
and would like a job.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, you can have my job. That'd be all right, wouldn't it, Jam?
Yeah.
We are always looking for talented people that are in line with where we're going. So we welcome you. We have application process on our website. So
Yeah. Okay. Follow up from James. Very expensive. About hotels. I was
yeah.
jumped and robbed, beaten into coma, Chicago Northwestern Hospital. Afterward, I've been consistently running around country begging for empathetic help. Came to DC from Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Here's a follow from Kim. Give it up. I believe it means your job.
I have 2 kids in college. I have to work for a few more days anyway, right? Plus, Jim, we got some goals to reach, right?
Yeah, we do. All right, this was from Kathleen. Are they going to bring back Section 8? Does this program help people on SSDI?
I really don't know. I have known very few people to be successful with Section 8. I do want to. There's one other strategy that I know of that I actually forgot to cover because it hasn't been in a while. Is I have known individuals proactively put out and do their own housing search. And just say, this is, my name is this, I'm looking for this, I'm willing to pay this in this area. So you take your plan, you go out and like here in where I live, there's a community newspaper that's online called Front Porch Forum. You can do it there. I don't know if Craigslist is still a thing, but that's where it happened, is you reverse engineer it. When I had to live in other cities with my son, that's how I was able to solidify housing, is I just reverse engineered it. I put out an ad and got people to contact me. Worked great.
All right, this was from Kelly. Hi, Kelly. How much can you make without losing your disability? And she did not state if she's approved or not approved. And also, we love you too. I missed the live one. I missed one live you did.
Oh, well, thank you for being
Thanks for
a
the love, Kelly.
good supporter. Right, right. They all come to see Jam. Okay, so how much money you can make and keep your benefits? If you're going through the disability approval process, you can earn up to 1,000 and no,
$470.
$1,450.
Brian, I thought it's 1,470.
Maybe it is. That's why I'm having a blank. I'm going to get the regulation. I know if you're approved, it's $1,050.
Yeah. Okay, she's
So
approved.
she's approved. Okay. So I'm going to put the actual link in there. But so it's two separate regulations if you're going through the process or if you're already approved. So just give me like one
I
moment.
can do that.
You can?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's probably better than me doing it because, yeah.
Okay. Hello. About waiting for approval process and have little kids that need housing.
Okay. Matter of fact, we have good news for you. We just covered a whole bunch of housing options. So if you're just joining us, the replay will be available. I don't know how long it takes for the replay to be available after this, but you can
Just
use
a couple minutes, I think.
Yeah, you can come back to the same link and go back through and listen.
And here's one from Carl. If I am receiving retirement from my previous job, not much, but receiving Florida retirement, I applied recently, 2,800 according to Social Security website. Disability income impacted? Question mark. I have a child and mortgage.
So the question is, Jam, will the pension impact the Social Security disability check amount?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
Okay. And the answer is no. No. The pension will not, because it's passive income. It's really money that you already earned. And there's other income that falls into this category, like rental income, insurance residuals. So no, you're good.
Okay, that's it for today.
Hey, all right. Well, listen, thanks everybody for coming out and listening to our housing show today. Do we know how many people are members and how many are not?
We have 100 votes, 72% are members.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So listen, next week we have a guest speaker who is going to share her work experience and a new free media resource that has positive information. And I believe she's going to speak with us, but she's going to remain anonymous or use an alias because she is a disability recipient. And so that's next week. And listen, if you're listening out there and you have a message, or maybe you've started your own little side hustle, like May, who does mystery shopping and others, and you would like a bump getting going, we would glad to have you come out. And if everything is in line, you're running a legit business, we don't want to be pushing narcotics or anything, then we'd be glad to have you on the show, and so that people can understand what you're doing how it's worked for you, and maybe some others out there in Disability Digest land can support your cause, right? So if you're one of the few that is here that is not a member, we invite you to join us. There'll be a link around here. The value of doing that is, or if you haven't updated us in a while, maybe you've gotten approved and you haven't let us know, something like that. We want to keep current with your status. Then just follow the link and either join us as a member or update us so that we can get you the most relevant information. There's no charge, targeted approach. That's it. So everybody, hands together for Jam. Thank you once again for helping us out here today,
Sure.
folks. We will be back next week. Make it a great day, everybody.
Thank you guys for joining. See you next week.